class 8. We'll be studying through the interface of Google Classroom. As we all know that the school has closed down for COVID-19. We'll be starting with chapter 2, that is population dynamics. As chapter 1 we'll be doing once the school reopens, and we'll study that chapter face to face. Now this is the picture of the chapter 2 of your books. I'll be sending you pictures also because I know that you people do not have your books with you. So I'll be sending you photographs of these chapters. Now this population dynamics is a chapter where we have to understand where the people are living, why are they living in that particular area, why some areas have more people living and others have less, and few none are living. That means there is no habitation in those areas. So people which are living in any area is called its population. And in the olden days, when there were hardly any people around, the population was very less. Approximately 12,500 people, 12 lakhs 5,000 people were living. Now this capacity of the prehistoric times of the earth was very less because the carrying capacity of the earth was less. Now when I say carrying capacity of the earth, that means we were getting into a lot of problems, a lot of diseases were around. Some of those diseases were not recognized, and therefore there was no treatment, and people used to die because of those problems encountered. Plus there were hardly any ways of cultivating a lot of food. They knew the way of farming, but to increase the amount of cultivation was very difficult because science and technology had not advanced at that point of time. Traveling from one place to another was also a major problem because people used to travel by foot, and when you're traveling on foot you might not reach your destination, you might get tired, you might fall down, you might injure yourself, there are wounds and those wounds might not heal and you might meet the end, that is death. Later, when the science and technology advanced, the capacity of the earth increased and therefore the population also increased. Now when I say that the carrying capacity of the earth increased, I mean to say that medicine evolved, many diseases had treatments, a lot of science was put into cultivating the fields where the yield increased, that means the amount of crop which we could grow increased, and that could be distributed all over. People started traveling from one place to another by on the backs of the animal or by simple means of traveling like a bullock cart, and therefore they could travel to long distances in search of food and shelter, and then slowly these problems started diminishing and the quality and the length of life also increased. Now if there is a place where the population is less, then we call that area as underpopulated, and if the population of an area is more, then we call that area as overpopulated. So if at any place the average number of people per square kilometer in a region, we call that as the density of the population. So if people per square kilometer in a region are more, then the place is called as densely populated, otherwise sparsely populated. We'll come back to that later. Now everywhere or at every place, the number or the amount of people living is not the same. For example, if we calculate or if we work out the amount of or number of people living in any area, if you compare it with Delhi, you compare Delhi with Dehradun, or you compare Delhi with Shimla, or you compare Delhi with Jammu and Kashmir, you compare Delhi with the Thar Desert, you will find that Delhi is populated to a great extent, while Thar Desert, very few people live there. So that is, it is not evenly distributed. And the way the population of any country or region is spread is called the population distribution. Now there is a graph given to you, a bar graph given to you in your own books, which tells you how the population has been distributed in the world. If we see this graph very clearly, China is the first country which has a great population. Its population is exceeding to approximately 1,388 million people, closely followed by India, 1,342 million people, and then comes the other countries like United States, Indonesia, Brazil, then Pakistan, Nigeria, Bangladesh, Bhutan, and Mexico, with the lowest among the first 10 countries, and that is 130 million people. Now, this was a census which was taken around in 2017. Of course, this has grown too much. China and India have crossed their population of 133 crore people presently. And we all are hearing this and reading this in the newspapers these days, that the population boom has occurred in China tremendously. They've also given you a map. If you see here, if you see most of the Asian countries, Greenland, North America, the islands surrounding the Greenland, most parts of Africa, Australia, they are pink in color. That means their population is very less. Zero down to yellow, moderately populated areas like US. Sorry, in the earlier one I was supposed to say Canada. The pink color is Canada, not US, and yellow is US. Most of South America, some parts of Africa, and then parts of Afghanistan and the Middle East, and the peninsula of Norway. Here you can see yellow. That means they have a little more than less populated. Then comes the green area, which is your most of the European countries like Spain, Portugal, and some parts of your Middle East, Turkey. Then we have the orange, that is China and Pakistan, and then comes the purple color, that is India, and then the red, which is Bangladesh, which is the maximum populated areas. Now this is a population which we have taken a census, and we know that these are the number of people living in this country. But there are certain population which is called as an unstable population. That means they are traveling from one place to another in search of job or good education. So they are temporarily inhabited. For example, in Antarctica. Antarctica doesn't have any permanent population of its own. Scientists go there, stay there or live there for a certain period of time, do their studies, and then move away in the winter season, come back to their respective countries. So their population is not a permanent population. They are temporarily involved in that area. If you talk about India itself, the population of Uttar Pradesh is more or less the same as the population of Brazil, which is a country in South America. Now, overpopulation and underpopulation we have discussed. If any place has more number of people staying, we call that as overpopulated, and less people, we call that as underpopulated. Now students, I'm sending you the pics of these 3 pages. I would request you to go through these pages, read them through, and then we'll pick up the next topic tomorrow. After that, I will send you some assignments based on this chapter. Bye bye for now.